Good morning. Good morning. I hope you're safe and well because that is the most important thing. Well, here we are. It's autumn. It's definitely autumn. I'm looking out of the kitchen window and it's a bit hazy. It's been cold in the mornings the last few weeks. Although yesterday, Grace, our part-time admin and graphics lady, left her coat here. She lives down in the valley, which means it's about a 4 mile journey to do half a mile because you've got to go back and down instead of just going as the crow flies. I was amazed at how much warmer it was, 200 or 300 feet below us. So I hope you're enjoying and making the most of autumn. Anyway, today, what have we got for you? Well, the first thing is actually, let's see, what will we start with? The first thing we're going to talk about is some guidance from Cefic. And it's all about guidance for the persistence assessment of difficult test substances. You have some things VP, VB, or PBT. The P bit stands for persistence. And it's a good read if you are at all interested in environmental tests or persistence tests, or indeed any kind of test on chemicals in the environment, because they're talking about difficult substances and we have exactly the same problem. Bear with me while I just put this link in. But exactly the same sets of problems, add a few more, when you're trying to find pollution in the environment. People have this idea, if they're not within the chemical industry or they've not done much research, they have this idea that testing is easy. And it just isn't. It is not at all. So many things can go wrong in the process. You may be looking for something in the wrong medium. You may be changing something. You might be doing a solvent extraction for something that's not going to go into that solvent, for example. You may have a problem with the way the sample was taken. You may have something that is mismarked in the lab. So what you think you are testing is not what has actually been tested. And I mean, we did with my environmental science hat on, we used to do a lot of work on groundwater testing, and we would send tests routinely from site to the biggest laboratory in the country that does that kind of thing. And the number of times, because we were doing things consistently month by month by month, we could see when there was something wrong. And one time they found that a dilution hadn't taken place, so we were getting 10 times the result. And we flagged that up to them and they were really grateful. And it happens all the time, people. If you're sending stuff outside your own lab, you've got to be over it like a rash. So it is a really good read. It's an interesting read, even if you just skim it. And I think we need to be more open in the chemical industry about the need to explain to the wider public, hey, we don't know a lot of what's going on. We can get false negatives, we can get false positives, and that's assuming we're testing the right thing in the right way at the right time. So there seems to be such a lot of, science will do this like it's some kind of wave of magic wand. No, it's slog, it's hard work. We make mistakes all the time. We're forever changing our ideas on how things happen. And particularly with the rise of the big external labs and the way that people don't necessarily work on their own products quite in the same way as we used to when I was a girl, it just adds to the potential for mistakes to happen. Anyway, gets off soapbox. Thank you for listening. James Dowick, by the way, has been involved in this, I believe. Let me just check. Oh, sorry. Incorrect. Chris Hughes. Sorry, Chris. Sorry, James. But yeah, it is a really, really good read, and I commend it to you. Some other reading. If you are following the titanium dioxide scandal, and let's face it, quite a few of us are, then you will be completely unsurprised to learn that there is now a stushy, good Scots word, about what happens with titanium dioxide in pharmaceuticals, because EFSA have said, it's not safe to use in food, pretty much against the evidence. And so we've got a really good link about all of this, because it's pretty much irreplaceable in pharmaceutical if you read if you read this article. So really good article going below there. So those are my two free reads, as it were. The third read that I have is actually from a book. And funnily enough, it is by a chap called Reed. Shout out to Dr. Mark Reed, who has spent a lot of his research life thinking about things like imposter phenomenon rather than imposter syndrome. I am trying to type and read, and as you know, I can't play. Now, you will have to pay for this one. I have bought the workbook that accompanies it, which is very good. And I'm expecting the book to arrive at any minute now, subject to Amazon. Other delivery services are, of course, available. But Mark has suffered from imposter phenomenon. You can see why people call it imposter syndrome. It's a lot easier to say. But he suffered from it himself, and he's collated the science on it, and he's got a lot of great tips and exercises to help you overcome it. Because something that I have noticed, regular viewers and readers will be aware of this, is my theory is, if you're in chemicals, if you're a chemist or you're a chemical engineer or another sort of engineer, you're probably somewhere on the Asperger's spectrum, aren't we? Yeah, guilty as charged. And it's, and I think imposter phenomenon is something that goes along with that. We're all a bit unsure in the world. We're unsure socially. We're not quite sure how to read people. And I think that imposter syndrome is something that's more likely to affect people like us. So I hope you find that book useful, and well done to Mark for compiling it to try and help people like us. Oh, right. So that's a happy note to wrap up on. But before you go, what about our reasons to be cheerful? Well, it's another Two Ronnies one. I seem to, for some reason, you know the way the internet works, they'll serve you what you want. Some older clips from the Two Ronnies that haven't been sort of around much appear to be popping up in my YouTube channel at the moment. Well, my YouTube history, rather. And so I found an absolute belter for you, which is The Day After Tomorrow's World. And I'm just popping it in there for you. And if you remember Tomorrow's World, which was like the kiss of death for any inventions generally, you will recognize it very much. Anyway, that's it for me for this week. Oh, apart from saying, we are just coming up to run a trial on CLP Mastery, our training course. And if you're interested in joining us for like a feedback group almost, do DM me, email me if you'd like to join us as we go through that. But yes, sorry, where was I? Oh, it's been a long one today. And it's not even 9 o'clock yet. But yeah, so hope you have a great weekend. It's weird, isn't it, when you've got bank holiday and you don't work the Monday? Everything's compressed down and we all seem to be a bit, we've got to jam everything in. But hope you have a great weekend, and I hope to chat to you again next week. Take care of yourselves. Bye. By the way, that's my spin dryer finished. Multitasking and failing. Bye.